on.
Hi, Holly.
Hi there, sweetheart. How are you?
I'm good. I want to first say before we start, thank you, Sam, for holding the camera.
Woohoo, Samuel!
Yeah, we always appreciate our camera talent, so thank you so much.
And our Samuel is 14, so
Wow.
let's know the reality here on our camera talent.
That means it's going to even be better. I'm excited.
Yeah, probably. He'll probably kill it. He killed it the other day.
That's awesome. So, Holly, thank you for joining us on the live. And it's always great to talk to you and to see you in your element, or at least at the farm.
Whatever element it is these days, it just keeps changing, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, this one's gonna be fun. I could tell because I'm just getting more and more real as every day goes on.
Well, you know what? That's all good. That is all good. So, tell us about where you are in case somebody doesn't know.
Okay, so I'm up at our farm. We own a farm in Virginia called Hope Flower Farm. And a lot of people don't realize this, but it's 2 miles up the road from my house, which is still my active floral design studio. So we run up and down the road to farm, or when we're doing editorial shoots or teaching or having festivals or harvesting, we come up to the farm. The house I live in has 2 flower shops, 2 walk-in coolers, and 2 acres, and that is where I've always grown from. So it's a pretty robust property as well. This one is under development, and it has challenges. It has lots of challenges. So I'll kind of explain those as we run from place to place. So this is one of the main barns. We call this the bank barn. And the reason they call it a bank barn is because it's actually on a hillside. So there's a lower story, which is in the bottom of the hill, making it a bank barn. And it has 5 stone rooms downstairs. And then this is the upstairs space, which, you know, each season we come up here, clean it up, and get it ready for workshops. But, you know, the workshops are canceled, so it's a little dusty. There are still installations hanging from flower stock, and you know, it's kind of like a ghost education room right now. But this is our space. Sam, you want to go in and kind of just show them a little bit? This space, normally, like, the teacher is up here, and we will put out 100 or so chairs. But if it's a workshop, then these are our workshop tables. And we can put, you know, we've taught as many as 50 in this space. We could teach more, but I don't really like, when we did 50, we had 5 teachers. So normally we're in like a 20 to 25 to 30 range, which means everybody gets a lot of space. But currently what's happening, these tables are how we're handling this no contact delivery. And over here are tables that Evan built that we use for like farm to table dinners. But like, so the way that we're doing this is we started.
So let me jump in real quick.
Okay, sure.
So you don't normally do this kind of pick up, this retail side. You're mostly doing weddings and events, correct?
Right. You know, truthfully, because we're rural, there were a lot of reasons why we didn't do it. We didn't think anybody would want to come this far out of the city. Everybody had gotten very used to, you know, the luxury of having anything they wanted whenever they wanted it. Now, taking a drive out here when you've been quarantined is looking like a really great fun thing to do, right?
Right.
And quite honestly, we, you know, were very, very busy with weddings and events and education, and all of that has obviously, you know, been canceled. I mean, I just keep watching one more date go by where we would have been doing something awesome that was already planned. So like, it's all the weddings, which is, you know, that's so heartbreaking because I've done that for 28 years. But, you know, there were some very significant events in my life that have been going on for many years. Last weekend was the Leesburg Flower and Garden Show. That was the one time that I did bouquets direct to the public. And I've done that event for 30 years. So this would have been the 30th Flower and Garden Show. And I went every year and never missed it. And that's when I would be on the streets of Leesburg making custom bouquets. And it's really how I got my start. There's a big long video about that on my Facebook page, a big crying jag about that. And then, you know, I was slated to go to Holland this week. I was been teaching with the Burma Institute. Then I was going to Ireland, where I would have been doing a chapel designers conference. Last week we were also doing a watercolor conference here at the farm. And that was combined with an artist, and I was doing the floral design component and lunch and all that fun stuff. And then, of course, you know, we were due to be in New York the week that COVID took New York down. So this is, in a way, I mean, it's taking me back completely to the beginning of my business, selling, you know, bouquets. And I actually am okay with that. I think Allison Ellis said she loves my comments on this because I said, I know what to do. I've been here before. I mean, it's pretty incredible that we're back here again, but I'm okay with the fact that I mean, I know how to do it and I'm not afraid of the work. So here we go. We go back to the beginning. So I will say that we were intentional this year. We took less weddings because I wanted to have more time on the farm. We've been rocking and rolling so hard to pay for the farm that I haven't gotten to spend as much time up here as I wanted to. So, you know, it really, in a strange way, everything I wanted is kind of happening anyhow. So it started because one of my past clients, a lovely young lady who I know she was throwing me a solid. Let's be real. She's in the same situation as all of us.
Sure. She
saw my, you know, plea that, you know, our profession, our industry was crashing, and she wrote me and asked for a bouquet. I mean, it was a private message. And this young lady's been through an awful lot. And I thought, you know, if she's willing to support me, then I have to hear this. I have to take care of the people who do want our flowers, who expected to see me at the Flower and Garden Show. Easter was coming, and I came up with this plan. The other thing that was incredibly ironic was that we planted tulips for the first time. So our farm, you'll see as we kind of hustle around here, we don't have hoop houses yet. So the hoop houses are essential to that early spring product. So I thankfully do believe we will be getting 3 this year. That's our goal. So things like ranunculus and anemone, you know, we couldn't do those types of things or get things started. So our crop usually doesn't come in until that first week of July, other than peonies, which I will show you. I have a lot of viburnum and lilac on the property that we live in. This property struggles because the deer are so intense here, and I'll show you what we've had to do to keep the deer out. So we did this crop of tulips. There was a lovely young woman here who was doing the workshop with us last spring, the Shira Masu editorial workshop, which her name was Kat Wilrit. She's a flower farmer and her husband's a grower. And Kat told me how much she loved the tulips and how wonderful they were. I had purposely not grown them because we have a lot of moles and voles, and I didn't feel like losing them all. And she suggested I put a black tarp down in the garden and put soil on top and then plant my tulips, and then that way those creatures couldn't come up and get them. So I, for the first time ever, we had about 1,500 tulips.
Really?
Not a lot compared to real growers, but it was a great way it was a great way to get my feet wet and to decide, wow, this was fantastic. I loved it, and it gave me enough of a crop that made me try. So we started Easter week, and literally everything was coming off of our property, which was fabulous. And so what we did was, we have an online shop on the Hope Flower Farm website, and you pick time slots and when you can come pick up the flowers. It's all pickup. The designs are made and they're laying in here in the barn, and we separate them on the tables depending on how many orders we have. And it has their order and it has their name on it. And they were instructed to stay in their car. If they saw another car parked in front of the barn, they're to wait until that person exits the barn, and then they can come in and get their bouquet. So they have, we have like 4 different time slots, and they have to pick a time slot and come during that time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Well, and that's the reason why I wanted to ask the question, because you don't normally do that. And because of your location, not knowing how people would respond, I mean, you've allowed the opportunity for them to come and be respectful. And I think everybody wants to be that way. And so I was just, you know, it's another one of those conversations where people are trying to figure out how to reinvent their business, or how to take what they have and create an opportunity to still push flowers out into the world. I know we've had a couple questions I wanted to jump in on real quick.
Okay.
One is, you know, what do you have blooming right now? Which I think you just mentioned the tulips, and those are over, correct?
Well, I have just a few left. We have harvested them all, and we got them just showing color, and they're in the cooler, and they'll continue to last for another week, maybe 2, depending on how early I got them. Lilac was a biggie. All the blooming branches. We had snowdrops, hellebore galore, daffodils galore. I will say right now, with the loss of the hellebore and the daffodils and the lilac, I'm having a really a big longing. They made everything so spectacular, and the big blooming branches. I'll go into viburnum next, snowball bush viburnum, and I still have the tulips. And so what I'm doing is watching the orders, and if up until this week, quite frankly, we couldn't buy anything because none of the wholesalers were open. I did buy some ranunculus and poppies from the Harmony Harvest girls because they're friends of ours, and that was a way for me to support their business a little bit. And that was the only supplement I did. And for Easter, I did very, very well. I was so pleased. Now, mind you, like, I'm a one-man band right now. I would say, you know, people have always said, I don't know how you do all you do. I am feeling it right now. Like the laundry, the housework, I mean, the school. Thank goodness, I have to admit, our school system is not expecting tons from our children, where some school systems are. I hear parents like spending all day with the education, where, you know, trying to figure out, you know, how we're going to pivot and handle and make all these changes, get products up and shops up. And it's been a lot. I mean, I'm in the field, I'm doing the harvesting, and I'm doing all the designing. So what happens is, if we just can't handle it, we turn the shop off. Sure. So every day I get a couple orders, and that's awesome. That has been bringing me peace and certainly extra income. For Mother's Day, we're going to try and get pre-orders. I'm not really sure how that will work. Like, I've never been one to gamble and purchase things that I didn't know were sold. So this is a little bit different. Like this whole thing during Easter, I literally bought a few ranunculus and poppies, and everything was coming from my garden, and either they ordered or they didn't. The flowers were here, right? So this is where things are going to get more challenging for me, because our next crop is peonies, and pretty much with peonies, there's only peonies. Because I don't have like the hoop houses. That's what I was saying. So Our shop might have to, go quiet as we wait for the annuals to come, but we'll see how that goes. I mean, we are going to have a lot of peonies. Maybe we should try and take a little walk. Is that cool? We're going to go get on the golf cart.
Yeah, let's get the tour.
Okay, so Sam, do you want to go get the golf cart and I'll just show them around? So this is our little crop. Look how small it is. So Scott, if you'll remember, so let me take you back. This is the big bank barn. And if you'll remember, this is where we do the dinner
Right.
for flower stock. So these two gardens right here are typically more just for show because there's, a big field-to-vase dinner right here. Or, we socialize in this area. So this is typically where just annuals are and our dahlias. So this is how we were able to do the tulip crop. Now there's hardly any left, as you can see. Like I don't have that many compared to other people. It's a lot of weeds. Like, see, I'm not sexy like some of the big growers, but maybe I'll get there
but you
someday.
but just to try it out for the first time, you wouldn't want to have 10,000 bulbs, because you've never done it before.
No, and I mean, I have, my weddings didn't really. I had a big wedding the end of the March, and I had a few in April. But my reason for these would have been to take them to the Flower and Garden Show. So see, these guys are late. Those I've pulled most of these. What you can't see is that most of these have been pulled. Like this has all been taken from these areas. So, I mean, I have so many of them. I'm so pleased. I mean, in the cooler, and they're mostly still green. So, Sam is going to escort me in the cart. So let's see how this goes.
Camera and chauffeur.
Yes. Okay. So, do you want to try and go down there? You can go down there if you want to. Well,
it's too steep.
It's too steep? Okay, he's afraid. Okay, so this, he's not afraid, sorry.
He's being responsible.
He's being responsible. So this is the dairy barn. So the lower half of this barn, you can stop for a second. The lower half of this barn is where we've done the flora and fauna fashion show. Should I go in it? That's easy to go in. And then the silo has, you can take me over in front of it. This is where we've done the fashion show. This was the mess hall during flower stock. Now, again, during flower stock, this is all planted and really pretty. Go ahead and go really quick.
And I'll testify to that. I mean, you had amaranthus and dahlias and zinnias and celosia.
It's
it was
gorgeous.
full.
This sure looks pretty because the real working flower farm, those rows are not gorgeous. So that's the bank barn. This is the dairy barn. So this barn is, this is our silo. And this is Evan's waterfall. This is the meditation chamber, which is super cool. So those are all the ladders, all the steps up to the silage. So they would go up here and open a door and drop the grain down, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And then it would go into here and go into the feeding trough. So this was all feeding trough. And Holly Chapple, this is, again, also normally very clean and without tractors in it, made this big stage for the band. And sometimes, I mean, this is also where they were doing the spinning for the Flower and Fauna Fashion Show. We filled these troughs with flower arrangements. It's pretty cool. Evan had to build the stairs. There were no stairs down into that area. And then those are hay racks. So, so there's a second story, which is super, super cool. And this, hi guys, I see Chapel designers. And the second story is where the hay was, and your floor was open, so you could push the hay down into the hay racks. So they'd eat their hay there, and then they'd eat their grain here. But now it is like this epic runway for fashion shows or for maybe even dinner theater someday. So That's the tenant house.
Is that
And
where you were quarantined?
That's where I was quarantined. I came here because I was abroad when COVID hit, and I wanted to make sure I didn't bring it into our home. So I went to this house for, oh, there's Wilred. I just mentioned you, girlfriend. So this is where I went to live for 2 weeks to make sure that I was safe and everyone around me was safe. That's the manor house, which has become one of my children's homes because she has come home because her town is falling apart. She was in Baltimore, so she's now safe here. There's the dairy barn. And then over there is the outdoor shower that we use for flower stock. So, and then this barn is the barn I call the no character barn. But Evan made it full of character. I think you guys have seen this being developed. Should I dare go in here? Do you want me to or not?
Well, it's up to you.
This was going to be our new classroom. And we got it almost finished. And then COVID came. Oh, there's Evan working. He's always working. Okay, so this is our new classroom.
Oh, wow.
So, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
So this is also going to be where we do filming and that kind of stuff. We have a walk-in cooler here, and this has the dahlias that we had from last year. They're waiting to go in the field. Over there is Evan's part. He got to keep 1/3 of this barn. This is our shop sink. So he actually made this sink himself. And then this is going to be where we fill the buckets, and he will tile it. This is his tile. He made the cabinetry and everything. And now we have restrooms, which he also did. He even made the light fixture. And then this will have a wall, so we have two stalls instead of one. We don't, this is social distancing restroom, right? So, and Evan did all the cabinets and stuff in here. So this is, amazing. We were almost done. One of the strange things we're having trouble with is hinges. We could find hinges to hold these doors, but these are so heavy that we're having to get them custom made, and it's like a fortune. And the floor. So we're living off of the money that was supposed to be for that barn. So we had to stop, which is really unfortunate, but it's the way it is, right? Right. Okay, this is so our amazing. New puppy. This is Buckets. My gosh. Okay, Sam, let's go. Okay, so this is, where do you want to go? Let's go down to the other garden so I can show them that. Okay, so Hope was a 450-acre farm, and it got subdivided. A lot of people don't, you can't really tell when you're videoing, and when we do pictures, we kind of cut out the McMansions, but there are a lot of them around here. It was 450 acres, and it got subdivided, and 25 acres were left, and it sat for sale for 3.5 years. No one wanted it in their right mind. It took just the right crazy person to take it on. Right? Like, what are you going to do with all this? It's a lot to take care of. Go that way. I don't think you could go through the front yard. You can try and go through the front yard. Let's see if we can pull it off. It's a lot to try and take care of, and farming just isn't really what anybody does anymore. So like, all these barns had no function. 25 acres is what's left, but that's not enough to have a significant amount of cattle or any of that stuff. And to be honest, nobody really has cattle around here anymore. I think there's one dairy farm left. Okay, but go through here and then go down into those gardens. So we'll show you the other two gardens. All the daffs were out in the field over there, and they have just finished. That was a spectacular crop. I mean, that's the kind of thing a beginner can definitely do with, you know, little worry of failure. Let's go over here to these gardens over here. We're going to go to these two gardens. So one of the challenges we have is that, there are two things that hold us back. The lack of a greenhouse or a hoop house and fencing. So we can't do anything unless we fence, because the deer literally take everything down. So the fencing was $10,000 alone. So that really stunk. But this is one of the gardens. The kids and I were out with Evan. This is typically where the amaranth and the zinnias are, but we have sweet peas in now and regular vegetable peas. My husband is laughing at me because I think I'm going to sell vegetables too. When COVID first hit, the first thing I bought was it was ridiculous. I bought mountains of tomatoes and peas and onions and potatoes, and he's like, what would you buy this stuff for? Like, potatoes, anybody can buy those so cheap, and you bought limas. No one even likes limas. But I was afraid, so I did it.
You were getting down to your roots.
Yeah, I was getting down to my roots. What I'm laughing about, though, is that's how I got started with my dad, which was his birthday today. This garden in here, this is where we have the first two rows up there are typically dahlias, because as it comes down the hill, this is too wet and we've lost the dahlias. Troy says he loves limas. Make sure it's organic. Believe me, we don't have any money for chemicals right now, friend. So this area gets kind of too wet and boggy down here. So, but again, you know, everything. I didn't show you the little greenhouse. We have a little greenhouse where all the seedlings are. We probably need to wait another week before we put things out, just because we could get a late frost.
I know. I'm debating on that right now. We're not supposed to have frost, but you know, a lot of these things still don't like it. You know, tomatoes don't like it below 50 too much. So
yeah, Evan's going to put out heating trays in the flower shop. He said if I would just quit making flower arrangements, he could get the warming trays out on my work benches. So, okay. All right, we're going to go to the peonies. Now, this is the one significant crop we have. Hurry up and turn that buzzing off, boyfriend. Woo! So, just turn around. He can't turn around. Okay, wait.
You got fresh mulch, I see.
That was really smart. That's leaf mulch from the town of Leesburg. So Evan contacted the town and said, what do you do with all those leaves that you pick up? To the peonies we go, friend. Go for it. Actually, let's go this way and go through the field because it's so fun.
Everybody, so everyone make sure your trays are in the upright position.
Yeah, because we're gonna get real.
Fastened.
So the town said, actually, we don't have any place to get rid of all of this mulch, so they gave it all to us. They dumped it in our field. So Evan uses it. That's larkspur out there. Believe it or not, it's coming. Okay, up and over the horizon. There's our burn pile. Isn't that awesome? Scott, are you having a lot of fun here? Okay, sorry. If Cat Wilred is still on here, one of my most favorite things in the world to do was to drive my minivan through this field. And unfortunately, my summer intern totaled my car.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that really stunk. I had no car payment for 15 years. I had the same yucky car. And, of course, it got totaled right in time for me to buy a new car. For the first time, I have a car payment and I have no income. So,
oh my gosh,
it's just so great. So here are the peony fields. Now this is like for me, this is the best crop in the world, just because, and they really are fairly low maintenance. They are a pretty good investment in the beginning, but it's one of my favorites, and the fact that you can dry pack it is huge. So the way this has gone down is typically you should not have to fence peonies. So we put them all the way at the end of the property because I felt like we could work our way down to the house. They don't really need water. So, you know, having no water source out here was not an issue. But then what really happened was, go ahead and go up to where the fence is and take me into there. What really happened is the crop started getting so valuable, and the deer are honestly, they're herds of them. It's ridiculous. We put up this little temporary fence, and Evan and the boys did this yesterday, just because, gosh forbid, if they change their mind and start eating our crop, that would just be like, I would be devastated. So, and it actually has been a bit of a problem. A lot of the peonies at the house I live in started getting gnawed on, and some of the other gardeners in the area were mentioning it too. So last year we started this, you know, temporary fence. So it's like PVC, and Evan can take it up and put it down. So the way peonies work, they're doing really well, aren't they?
Wow, look at the buds.
Yeah, we're like coming on. Now, last year we had buds on May 9th, and that was the earliest we've ever had peonies. So definitely, I've lived here for 28 years on this street, maybe not at this farm, but we have peonies at the other house.
Right.
And this was a good 15 days early. So I can attest that the environment is truly changing. So these are, in November, they will be 5 years old. So we have 5-year-old peonies up to here. Now, the kids and I were in the field yesterday weeding, and boy, that was fun. They just love their new life.
School's looking better, right?
Oh my God, they're so miserable. So these are, I think to here is, the first 3 are 5. These guys are 4, so they're producing. These over here are 3, and they will be full throttle. They were doing really well last year. And so we had about 1,000. These will be 2, so they're not going to be awesome this year. You can see where I haven't weeded, but I did so good up there. Over here are the no-year peonies. They have only been in the ground a half of a year. But you'll see all these babies here. We doubled the patch last fall. So all of those are 1-year peonies, or 6 months. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
So by 2 years, you can get a little bit, but it's best not to mess with them. So we have 2,000, maybe more in the ground. And this is, you know, our main focus. Up until this year, you know, we just did enough dahlias for our weddings and events. But that land is ready for dahlias.
Oh my goodness. So all that's dahlias. So do you have an idea, like, is that like an acre's worth of peonies or 2 acres, or can you tell, or?
I'd have to ask Evan. Maybe it's like an acre.
I mean, it looks big, but I know that
it is pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I can't imagine all the dahlias. I mean, do you have more dahlias coming, or do you have enough plants already to go ahead and plant?
Okay, so we are very fortunate. Erin from Floret has gifted us dahlias. And man, her generosity, like this year of all years, like, whoa. And then we have all the tubers from last year. I'm sure zinnias and other things will end up in here as well. There, again, there's more of that mulch. That is all from
Oh my
asking the
gosh.
town if we could have their leaf mulch. Right? Like, isn't that unbelievable? I
That's
mean, that was so,
gold.
it is gold. It was so smart of Evan. But like, these peonies were just planted in November. I mean, they have buds on them. Oh, and guess what?
I'm afraid.
There are 200 etched salmon in here.
Oh, I love that variety.
I'm so excited. My husband was like, do you really have to buy the most expensive peonies? And I'm like, yep, I do. We have quite a bit of the yellow as well, which they did fabulous last year. So I love what we have. I have probably, I don't know, maybe 15 to 20 varieties. But this is the one crop I really want to focus on. If I were to pick others, I would go limelight and hellebore and daffodils and now tulips. Those would be my five rock stars. But
Amazing.
it's not so bad. I mean, now I have to figure out where I'm going to sell all of these. Is the New York Flower School still on here? Maybe they'll buy some. I mean,
well, a lot of people are. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's amazing. And I feel like, I mean, who knows what's going to happen over the next few weeks. And of course, they don't all bloom at the exact same time, right?
No, they definitely come in different ranges. It's unbelievable, like how some just come on so much earlier. We also put in a good bit of iris and allium this year. So
really,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of ironic and crazy that we planted heavier last year. Sometimes I just wonder if somebody isn't looking out for me. Maybe it's my dad, because yeah, if we didn't have this in the ground, like I literally, like everyone, it's been a lot of loss. So at least we have this to look forward to,
sure.
and we can try and turn it into something. I don't know if it's enough to save this farm, but I'm sure as hell going to try. Whoops, there goes the bad words we were supposed to not do.
Well, some people have already asked about how they can buy flowers. So maybe you'll have something available on your shop by the time they bloom in a month. But
well, we do, but I mean, I'm not going to get into shipping. So that's going to be
right.
Like, if I can do bulk orders to like wholesalers, or, I mean, I'm going to figure something out. I mean, Harmony Harvest and I have also talked about the potential of me like taking my peonies to Harmony Harvest them, because they've already gotten that down to a science. Those girls are rocking that. So I don't know, but this is where we're at. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, we've had a few. Some people have said they'd pick up, by the way, which I'm sure you'll have orders for that. I know one person.
Yep, they're up on the shop.
Yeah, there you go. One of the earlier questions was, number one, like, how does Holly Chapel go from being so busy all the time to all of a sudden coming to an end, coming to this point? I mean, how do you wind down or come to a point where you're sort of, I guess you don't have a choice, so you just kind of figure that part out, right?
Oh my God, you guys, I'm busier than I've ever been. Like, we had a big discussion about this morning. Like, this will get me crying. Like, I'm the only one. My team can't come here, so nobody can come help us. So now I have, like, all this is my responsibility, mine and Evan's, and now the children. So, like, I'm busier than I've ever been. You can start taking us down a pretty driveway, because that's a landmark going down that driveway. So, I mean, the good thing is, it's a big difference from doing, I never use the word luxury casually, but I mean, it's a big difference from going from high-end weddings to $50 bouquets. But the good thing about me is that, you know, like I've said on my social media, I'm not too proud to do the work. So I love making the bouquets. I love them just as much, you know, as the biggies. As long as I have a sexy product, I'm happy. But I mean, it's a lot more work. We're trying to increase what we grow, and now we don't have any help. So that's really kind of scary. So there's no slow time right now. And, you know, part of me actually wonders, you could go a little slower so they can still hear me. Perfect. Part of me, you know, wonders also if I'm not making a mistake for my family. Like maybe I just say I can't work like a lot of people can't work and just take this time to, you know, decompress and be with my family. But I don't see how that would work out financially. Like I've made a commitment to my team to keep them employed. And I would say, you know, when I made that commitment to them, you know, that was 6 weeks ago. Now we're 6 weeks in and I'm still determined, but we did get, you know, we just got our final cancellations for May and June. We're not going to be in wedding production until July. And I had my first request to cancel a September wedding. Now that is getting scary, right?
Right.
And as you and I discussed before, like, it's one thing to have lost the entire spring. If we start losing the fall too, I don't know how we get through this, but we all have to remember a big part of what we have to do is store money away for the winter, like a squirrel. How are we going to do that? I mean, but you know, we're all in the same shoes. I mean, this is the way it is. I mean, this is the way it is. This is my dad's memorial garden, which is timely that we're out here. That's one of his old farming implements, which you probably saw that when you were out here.
Yeah.
And this is the cherry tree that was planted in his honor. 3 of the chapel designers got that for us. And then this pink dogwood was planted in my mother's honor. And those are all, you know, shrubs and things that chapel designers and friends gave us. So,
now, I want to ask a question real quick, if it's okay. You keep saying canceled. Are your events completely canceling, or are some of them just postponing and rescheduling?
Point. We've had multiple postponements, and we've had 2 cancellations.
Okay. And, I mean, it still hurts. Right.
Yeah, and truthfully, between you and me and all the people who are watching, I think the whole year is going to be. I don't think it's going to come back the way that we are hoping. I'm not going to tell you my true projections, but I can safely tell you it will not be what we thought it was going to be. Yeah. There's no way. I mean, maybe private estates where you've got open air. But I am quite sure that these hotels in the city are going to be very guarded about opening this back up because there's just so much risk associated with it, you know?
Right.
And I also think, I wonder if I should try and flip it. Let's see. Ooh, it's so real. And then, you know, I also think, I think smaller weddings, you know, I think people are going to be more mindful about what they're doing, you know, what they're spending their money on. And I think everyone's going to have a new sense of priorities.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think people definitely have to look at their minimums and look at, you know, perhaps how they're going to approach things.
This is not pretty.
Where'd Sam go?
Hey, Sam, come back and get this far away from me. My arm is not far long enough.
So, well, can you have weddings at the farm?
Yeah, so that's another package that we're working on is small weddings that we're going to do like all inclusive. Um, One of the problems is that barn over there that we were trying to finish, right?
Right.
Um, I don't wear makeup, so I probably need to, guys. Um, and I let it be real, whatever.
That's fine. It's all good.
So, you know, there are so many incredible venues in Loudoun County. Straight up here it is. I really didn't open the farm for weddings because I was at a wedding every weekend, right? And I also, because our farm is more rustic, and I was doing high-end sexy stuff that was challenging as a designer, I didn't want to, you know, I didn't want to bring down my level of design to just be here on the farm and not doing, you know, those big weddings. If I'm at a big wedding, who's running this, right? But now with my schedule opened up, it might not be, it might just be a really cool way that everything is working out. It would be very, very fun to have small weddings that are blown out with hollyish flowers, and it's about the people and the experience, and our priorities are on family. I mean, that could work out really well. So that may just be where we're headed.
You have that beautiful area that you did the dinner during Flower Stock, and you've got some beautiful spaces. So you can create beautiful moments. And it's funny because I know I had a conversation over the last couple.
Over there. I can hear you. We'll just walk over and show you that spot too.
I want to say like about micro weddings and people doing more micro kind of events. I know, you know, Tracy on here, and she was talking about how her husband was having issues because of, you know, in the hotel, keeping everything sanitized, and you don't want to have that headache or liability. So, but a small gathering might be fine. They stepped away from the barn, so we're hoping they come back. That would be great. I'm glad everyone's enjoyed this. I just think it's really an incredible place. Especially, we were there in the fall, many of us at Flower Stock, and I know she's right now under the process of trying to decide if it's something we can even do again this year. And so she is busy trying to figure all that out. And I know, I don't know, it's a challenging time. It's probably a good thing that she's extra busy because it keeps her mind occupied. And it is a great, beautiful place. It's amazing when you drive through Waterford going to the property that you see so much history. You see such a incredible lineage of just people in these older homes and things. And it's just, I don't know. Then you get to this to Hope, and here she's back, and it's incredible. Let's see if we can get her back here. If anybody has questions, this is a great time just to shoot out. You got too far from the barn.
Yeah, I don't know why that happened though, because we went around the whole entire field.
I know.
So I don't know, but I think it was just whatever. Who cares? So we won't go into that other barn, but there is another space on the property that is a beautiful space, which if you look online, you can see it. It's every bit as big and gorgeous as this. So you could have a ceremony over there and reception in here. That other space over there can seat 70 people. So we do have potential. I heard everything you were saying. It's a gorgeous area. And we do have a lot of really unique small businesses, vineyards, caterers, bakers that I think could make this really special. So you know what, the thing I'm learning is that I just have to take this like 1 second at a time, because every single one of us is trying to figure this out. And, you know, it just keeps changing and it keeps lasting. And the one thing I do know, and I told all my team, is that I don't want to spend any more time working on anything that could potentially get canceled. So, like, you'll notice we haven't listed flower stock. We haven't listed other workshops because I did so much work. Like, my events were prepped and ready and done. It would be like having all of your designs ready to get into the van and then the job is called. Like, that's
Right.
how all those conferences and workshops were. Money invested, everything ready to go. And it's the same with my weddings. I've told all my brides, like, I'm going to be there for you, but like, you know, we already picked out everything. Let's sit still and just watch this, and let's not talk about it for the next 6 weeks until we know what's going to happen. So, like, I told all of them I would reconvene with them in June and start talking about their wedding, because there's no point in trying to guess right now whether it's going to happen in July, August, and September. It's too far out. So
Yeah,
that's
I think
how
that's
we're
smart.
handling it.
Yeah.
Well, it's allowed me time to work on other things, right? Now, obviously, I had a conversation with all of my clients, and I took care of all of them. And I also, my husband's knowing, he's just like, he's so like, always got to interrupt these things. So I have been very generous with my clients too. We have a very lenient policy in regards to, you know, they're changing. I only take 10% up, which is great because I can't get my company in trouble. I'm not spending money I don't have. So I'm just going to try and ride it out and see what happens.
Well, I know someone's asking a question, but I also know we're approaching a hard break here. Somebody's got some clients with a heart, like they're really holding on to the end of May, hoping this is going to happen. And of course, it depends on the city and where you're located. Because
right.
I know today I heard in Georgia they're talking like April 30th, and I know every state's different depending on where they are in the bell curve or where they are, you know, with their caseload of, you know, COVID patients and stuff. And so I know that that's hard. I don't know. What would you say?
I mean, as long as the client's willing to hold on, I don't see how it hurts us any. I mean, we don't have to order those flowers until 3 weeks, 2 weeks before. Let them hold. I mean, if their venue and everybody else will let them hold,
Right.
Whatever. I mean, you'll be lucky if it goes off. So I keep your fingers crossed and be grateful she's willing to hold. I mean, the thing that we have told our clients is that you have to, you know, we're 10%. Can you guys still hear me? Do I need to?
I think is Sam covering the mic? Maybe.
Sam, are you covering the mic? No, that was the lawnmower.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So, what we've told our clients is that, you know, we're holding steady with that 10%. We don't take final until 3 weeks before, which, you know, we don't really have to change our contracting because we were doing it right in regards to this kind of situation. Now, if we were event designers or doing planning, I would have taken more up front. Let me be clear about that. But because I, you know, hold until the very end, once they say go, they pay me in cash, they get it fulfilled, the contract is complete, and that's when I order those flowers. And once the flowers are ordered, I cannot, you know, I don't have any more leeway at that point.
Right.
So that's how we do it. So, I mean, you know, if somebody told me they wanted me to go on May 30th, I'd be happy to go out the gate. We have had, you know, 2 cancellations for that date. So postponements for that date. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, we may have a big rush for last minute weddings if people decide, hey, let's just go. We got a window. Let's just go for it and, you know, make it happen. So, Holly, thank you. What?
Evan just realized. He like looked at me and goes, "Are you still recording?" I was like, "Yeah."
Well, he's a hard worker. He's amazing.
Yeah, he is. He's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Holly, so much for this time. It's always fun to connect. I value our friendship. You're great, and it's so fun to be able to show so many people this beautiful place. I know a lot of us are getting, cabin fever, and it's nice to see that amazing property. So thank you so
sweetheart.
much.
It's a blessing. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye, honey.